Um, Good day. I'm still on the series, the duties and responsibilities of the crowned, Ishe àti ojúṣe àwọn ọba. I'm going to the next topic soon, maybe in the next 1 or 2 days. But while that is ahead, I want to quickly take a look at some recent developments. For some time now, there have been a lot of arguments about, I don't want to call it supremacy battle because there's no reason for that. So, and I don't want to say between Onife and Alaafin of Oyo, there's no reason for that. But a lot of people have been engaged in talks around those 2 points I mentioned. For me, it is more about Ife than about the Ooni. It is more about Ife being, and I will qualify that, being the recognized source. And when you say Ife is the recognized source, when you say Ife is the source, there are people who will claim that a lot of people have returned from many countries around the world, tracing their origin to their town. And if we go by that, we will never have a rallying point, because almost all the towns in Karo Ojire land have produced people who have traveled far and wide. And for more than 100 years now, people have been returning to specific towns to trace their origin, their roots. People have been tracing their roots to many, more than 100, 200 towns in Yoruba land. They will say their great grandfathers left this place, from Merinjinyo to Ado-Ekiti to to Akure to different places. So you can't say because some people returned from Brazil and they came to say that their great grandfathers left your town, that makes you more important than, because that's happening in many places all over the land. People talk about the Kwetumodu people, the Mudakeke people being chiefs of the old Oyo Empire, defunct Oyo Empire. But Oyo chiefs, the chiefs of Oyo Empire, are not just in Ikwetumodu and Mudakeke, they are all over the place. And that's why when you go to a place like Ado-Ekiti, for instance, you will hear Ogbon Oyo, quarters of the Oyo people. You will even hear Odo-Otu in Ado-Ekiti. Go to Ikere, you will hear Oyo Ikere. Go to Erinjinyo, you will hear there are Oyo people there. So it was all of us that accommodated Oyo during, they are in Ibadan, they are everywhere. It was all of us that accommodated the Oyo people during the crisis because they are our brothers and sisters. We grew up to know Ogmoyo here, Ogmoyo, Aduwo, Oyo. You know, there's a way you will know. They say no, Oyo. You are from Ikere, but they still say Oyo Ikere. They still describe, qualify it as Oyo, àwọn Oyo Ikere, àwọn Oyo Ado. They are all over the place. So those ones too can trace their origin back to Oyo. Just like other people from Brazil, from different places, are tracing their origin back to Ekiti, back to Ondo, back to Oshun, back to different towns across the Karo Jire land. Some people recently, there was a video of somebody who said Oyo has been there for a long, long time, and that their own great-great-grandfathers came from Mali. And when they came from Mali, it was in Oyo that they landed. It was Oyo that accommodated them. That's fine, but you are no longer from Mali. You are no longer from Mali. I know people like that would proudly say that they are Yoruba, which is right. It's fine. Just like people will say we are Ekiti, we are Oyo, we are. You can identify by whatever name you choose to. You choose for yourself. It's also okay. There was also a report of towns claiming to have been the super warriors who even protected Oyo when Oyo was in trouble, who prevented the enemies from capturing the whole of Yoruba land. And Karo, when you say Yoruba, when I was growing up, in my primary school, in the primary school that I attended, both in Ekiti and Akoko, if you speak Oyo language, people will be laughing. They say, Onsoyo. Even if you speak the Lagos version of the Yoruba, they will still say Onso Eko, Abi Onso Yoruba. We knew that we were brothers, we were sisters, but we still knew that everybody has its own distinct identity within the larger group. And some people now say that, yes, they are from Mali, yes, they are from Sokoto, yes, they are from Barutin. They also challenge, some of them say they are challenging Oduduwa, challenging those who claim to be the original Karo Jire to come and tell them where they came from. They are challenging them that they also came from somewhere. And that's also right. Everybody, that's one thing that makes God to tower far, 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 far above all of us. So you will continue to trace your origin and you will never get to the end. Because when you get to, if you say you are from Mali, when you get to Mali, the people you call your family in Mali, when you sit down and you ask them to tell them the history, they will again trace it somewhere. You trace it to another source. From that source, they will trace it to another source. That is one secret that God has not given to anybody. So everybody came from somewhere. To the best of our knowledge, there is the myth or history of those who descended directly from heaven. And myth is true for the people who have it. So for me, yes, I agree. Because of course, everything starts from somewhere. Because of course, everything starts from somewhere. So if our origin started from the time of myth, when people descended directly from heaven, even if they say that this first set of beings, unique beings, who descended from heaven, also molded human beings, so be it. I agree. I take that. Because to take that is to have rest. and then learn whatever they tell you happened after the molding, whatever. But from their time, life continued until it gets to our time. So the myth is true for us. I won't say it's a lie. I was not there. And I would rather believe that than believe something from far, 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 far away land that I can't even trace. The myth associated with the land around me, the myth associated with the land on which I tread, for me is more believable than the myth in far away land that cannot be traced to my 1 millionth generation backward. So I won't believe. I would rather that, for me, that's secondary. So I'd rather believe the myth generated or traced to the land that I can see. At least I can see the land, I can see the tree. The variables in the story that are in nature, I can see those ones. And I can see how people descended from those myths to the people that can be traced. That's still okay. So the title of this video basically is, either you see yourself as somebody whose great-great-grandfathers came from Mali. I have come to tell you that you are no longer from Mali. Your great-great-grandfathers were Fulani, they were from Sokoto or wherever. You are no longer from Sokoto. They came from Barutin. You were formerly Baruba. You are no longer Baruba. And I will tell you why. I know that some of you may want to say that if you claim that you are from Mali, your 20th grandfather backward came from Mali. If I say that you are no longer from Mali, then some of them will argue that, which means Oyo is no longer from Ife. No, it's different. And I will tell you why it is different. There was a time that there was a submission somewhere that the term Kabiesi was first used in a place in Yoruba land. I just told you now that it wasn't even all of us who knew ourselves as Yoruba until we started filling forms, until our great-grandfathers started dealing with Oyibo. We didn't know. So when they were talking about Yoruba land at that time, that the first person to use that title in Yoruba land, it was maybe in Oyo Oke-Ogun area where they had a lot of Baruba, Barutin people and so on. Because of course that's not the language of the Baruba, the Barutin people, which they came with. Now, even if you say that the word Kabiyesi was first and foremost used in a particular place, and those people came from Ife. When they were leaving Ife, they left with a language. They were not dumb, they were not deaf, they were speaking. They had utterance. So whatever coinage they made out of the language that they took away, it's still not 100% their invention. And again, Kabiyesi sounds more like Ekiti Ife tone than Oyo tone. If you break that down, Kabiyesi, you know, it breaks down more clearly to Ekiti Ife language than to Oyo Eko Yoruba language, because those people don't say AC. But that is not the most important reason why I have come. The important reason why I have outcome is that regardless of where you came from, you are no longer yet from that place beyond referencing. You can reference that if you are speaking. You say, yes, originally we are from this place, but we are now. Do you see the way our Nigerian people in America, in Britain, can you see how loyal Kemi Badenoch is to the United Kingdom? So, in the same vein, where you have the platform, you have the language, your life has meaning. That's your new home. And your loyalty, your interest should principally be for that place, for the peace, for the unity, for the progress, for the development of that place. Anything that can divide the people is something you should run away from, you should avoid. Everybody is trying to pitch their tent with a particular camp. The man who was saying that they were originally from Mali was saying it to identify with Oyo, and he was saying it in a way that nobody, yes, he tried to manage it, but again, you will see that he was trying in a very mature manner to say that I choose Oyo over because you landed in Oyo. Now, the point is, if you land in your friend's house and your friend has a father elsewhere who resides in another land, you will be showing more love to your friend if you encourage your friend. In fact, you should also respect your friend's dad, and you'll be showing more love. You will be helping your friend more if you encourage your friend to cooperate with his dad or with his source. And if you continue to reside there, then your allegiance too should be to the right. Yes, sometimes you can pledge your allegiance to to Oyo, and if Oyo recognizes Ife as the source, if Oyo respects Ife, why not? And of course, you know, the times that we are in, respect, what we should promote is mutual respect from land to land. Because as a matter of fact, I've said that in a previous video. That all you have now is your tongue. Your authority does not apply beyond your tongue. Gone are the days of colonies, empires, and all of that. Those days are gone. And I've said it that it is the government, the democratic government, that is actually ruling over all lands. But the respect that people have for Ife is because of, it's natural, It cannot be deconstructed and reconstructed. that is the grace of Ife, that the recognition that they have, that their place, the place of that land, and Ooni will come, another Ooni will come. Did you call me? No. Okay. An Ooni will come, another Ooni will come, an Alaafin will come, another Alaafin will come, an Ewi will come, another Ewi will come, a Legushen will come, another Legushen will come. But the place of Ife as the source, as the land where civilization spread round all the places where we now speak the language that they call Yoruba today, that place is sacred. That cannot be changed. Headquarters can change. Political powers can shift. If you wield a lot of power today politically, that can shift. Whatever you want to become, you can become, and it can change and it can shift. But where it all started cannot be deconstructed and reconstructed. And do you know that even when we talk about Ife as the source, I prefer to say as the recognized source. Yes, to a large extent, the compass, as I titled a previous video, the compass keep pointing back to Ife, because even in those places where they are claiming that they had been there before an Ife prince came to become king over them, even those who claimed to have been there, by the time you also trace their history, you realize that even the initial settlers were also from Ife. The initial settlers that a prince now came to meet will also still trace their story to Ife. So, and that place, yes, you can say recognized source, but even those who claim to have been there before the Ife prince came, we also again trace their journey back to Ife. So Ife is a recognized source, but it's even more than a recognized source. Ife is basically, primarily, the source. And the point where we are now is a point where there is no race of people on earth who would not love to have a rallying point today for good reasons. At a time like this, for development to happen, for growth to continue, we need a rallying point. We need solid representation. And the criteria for getting the things that we deserve from the center will still be derived from our history, our population, our exploit, our numbers, previous achievements, and if any one of you knows another place that can give us that solid representation. Is it the Ekiti people, the Ondo people, the Akoko people, the Ilaje people who have never seen themselves as Oyo? And because this Ife, Oyo, Baruba, Okeogun, Barutin people, because they claimed that in a video recently, they were close to Lagos, so to say. Ibadan is close to Lagos, Oyo is close to Ibadan. They were close to Lagos, so to say. So a lot of people, most of the time when they are even talking about the Yoruba, a lot of people are not thinking of those in Ekiti, Akoko, Ondo, Akure, Ilaje. They are not thinking of those people. And if we are all one, then I don't know another place that can be our rallying points. And if Ife is that place where everybody points back to as where they came from, where they came from, where they came from. At the level of Oyo claiming that people return from America to come and trade, yes, they do that to Ekiti. They do that in fact, they do that in small towns that are extremely small, because they have been existing for centuries. Many. There are towns in Ekiti that have been existing, Ondo, Ekiti, that have been existing for hundreds of centuries. And people from time, human being has always been moving. So there are people who have moved far away. So people are returning to not just your town. People are returning to tracing their history to different towns in the Omalade lands to say this is where we are from. But all of us that I have seen, if you trace it well, the Igweleru people, where there were archaeological um, archaeological excavations that prove that people have been living there for thousands of years. If you go there and trace their history, somehow the compass may still point back to Ife. The compass keeps pointing back to Ife. And that is why, if we are truly brothers and sisters, we should just let that be. We should just let that be. And again, that recognition of Ife, that connection with Ife is so natural. It's so natural with everybody. But your political achievements is not so natural, and it's something that is dynamic. It can change, just like political power of the Yoruba people shifted from Oyo, and it resided in Ibadan for a long time, part of which led to the Kiriji War with the Ekiti people. And there were also reports of sometimes too claiming that they were the ones who didn't allow the enemies to capture the. Yes, that is appreciated, that is recognized, but that will not change the source. You had your political powers, you enjoyed it while it lasted. Life has moved past that era. We have democratic governments and democratically elected people ruling at the moment. Your town is your town. But if we have to work together in zones, in geopolitical zones, we must have um, somebody who will lead, who will represent the arrowhead. We must have somebody who would be at the forefront and speak for us. And that has to be organized in a way that will not see one person unnecessarily trying to claim a role that has not been given to them in any way. In any way, I've seen organizations that they would have spiritual head, they will have political head, they will have all of that, and it can happen that way. But even at the end of the day, if you are having a social head, you are having a spiritual head, you are having a diplomatic head, you are having a political head, you are whatever kind um of offices you may want to create to manage the teeming population of the Yoruba speaking people. At the end of all these offices, somebody must be the one that everybody can respect. And that will not be, that has already been given. It's been approved. One person that at the end of the day, just like when they said the Remo and was he Ekpe and Remo? I can't remember. Two people near Lagos, around Ogun State, were fighting over a crown, and the Oyibos of the time spoke to the Alafi, and the Alafi said, "No, we have a root." That's what we are saying. Alafi at that time was very powerful, Very powerful. It was recognized. It was engaging with partners beyond the place called Nigeria today. Political engagement, business engagement does not change things that are natural. Your political achievement, your whatever, diplomatic achievement, engagement is appreciated. But it's still in its place. It's still it's still in its place. So for those of you who think that you are from Mali, you are from Sokoto, you are no longer from there. It is the place where you have your voice, where your voice is heard, where you have a language of expression. It is the place that gives you a platform to shine, to live, to thrive. It is the place the land that has fed you. It is the place where you are relevant, where you have lived. Your parents returned from Mali maybe 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago, and about 10 generations have descended from those first sets who came. As if you go to Mali today, anybody knows you there. As if you go to return to Mali today, you can be as important as you are here. As if you still know your family house in Mali or in Sokoto or in Baruba, Baruti. As if you go there today, you can have a right to the stool. You're already a king where you are. That's your portion in the land of the living. The place where you have a language. None of you, either you say your ancestors came from Fulani land or from Mali or from Sokoto or from wherever, none of you can express yourself adequately in the languages of those people as we express yourself in the language of the Karo Ojire people. If you return there today, you are going to start from their ABC, from their alphabets. And you won't know your way around because the people there have shared the portions. They didn't leave anything for you. So in your best interest, this is home. The Karo Ojire land is home. Either they call us Yoruba or they call us Karo, whatever name. But the land of the people who have their source as Ife is home. And wherever you came from, the headship of that land, the natural headship of that land is your daddy, your father, his father to you. That is point. That is the point. The Oyo people were not dumb when they were living. They already had a language. So either you are from Mali, from anywhere in the world, the land of the people who left Ife to go and occupy the place called Yoruba, to go and occupy the place called Ekiti, to go and occupy the place called Edo, to go and occupy the place called Ondo, to go and occupy the place called Akoko. The land, those lands, if you live there and you are from Mali, no, Mali is no longer home. That place, the land of the people who came from Ife, to go and establish more lands, to go and organize more lands, as sent from Ife, is now home. And our recognized source is Ife. So if you came as a visitor, I've said it, everybody came from somewhere. You know? Everybody. All of us in this world, if you research your history, you will realize that you have connections with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 places in the land of the living. But it is the place that gives you the language, your language of expression. The place that gives you relevance, the place where you can raise your head high, the place where you have where you have been fruitful, the place where you have been accomplished, the place where you are recognized, the place where you have a platform is home. That is home. And anything that will promote unity. There's, some people say the Oyo people are no longer Yoruba, they are no longer Karojire because of this and that and that. I don't care where you came from, but that place where you came from, either you are from Baruba, but in Oyo, in the administration of Oyo, you now have an exalted office. That is home. You're also a descendant of Oduduwa. You're also a descendant of the Irumoles. That is now home. Forget Mali, because if you go there, you will be nobody. Forget that place where you came. You'll be nobody if you go there. Nobody knows you there. Ẹ̀yin àwọn ọmọ ìyá wa nínú ẹ̀sìn kìíní kan, àwọn ọmọ ìyá wo kí lórúkọ ìyá náà tó dà yín pọ̀. Ibi ilẹ̀ ti rí ìyá tó dà yín pọ̀. Àwọn bàbá yẹn, irú ẹni tó wá láti Mali nísìn, nígbà tí bàbá rẹ̀ débi, bóyá ó ti fẹ́ ọmọ tí ìran rẹ̀ ṣẹ̀ wá láti Ifẹ̀ nínú Ọ̀yọ́. Lára ìyá yẹn lẹ ti dìde, tẹ̀tí gbilẹ̀, tẹ̀tí ráyé ṣe. Irú ẹni tó lóun Sókótó nìran wọn ti wá, Fúlàní làwọn, kinní kan làwọn ti wá, Nìjẹ̀ làwọn ti wá, Senegal làwọn ti wá. Ibẹ̀ wọn ò dá yín mọ̀ ńbẹ̀. Ibẹ̀ kì í ṣe ilé mọ́. Bàrùtín kì í ṣe ilé mọ́. Nígbà tí a wá dé sí ọ̀dọ̀ Aláàfin, irú èèyàn tá a jẹ́ nìyẹn. Ifẹ̀ láti mú ìwà kakóyàn mọ́ra ní gbogbo wa ti mú wá. Bí èèyàn bá wá sọ pé ó káàbọ̀, ó gbà yín lálejò, ó bomi fún yín, ó ṣètọ́jú yín, ó tọ́jú yín. Ó wá ní ṣùgbọ́n bàbá mi ń bẹ ń bí báyìí, gbogbo bàbá yẹn náà gbogbo wa lájọ máa bọ̀wọ̀ fún. Ẹ má tiẹ̀ tanra yín, bí ìgbà téèyàn ń tanra èèyàn jẹ nìyẹn. Ọlọ́run ti fún yín láyé, ẹ wá fẹ́ dànù pé kódà tí gbogbo yín bá fi ìfẹ́ hàn, ìfẹ́ òótọ́ hàn sí Aláàfin, ọmọ máa ń rí bàbá ẹ̀ fín, ọmọ lè rí ìyá ẹ̀ fín. Tí ọmọ gan bá fẹ́ rí bàbá rẹ̀, wá fẹ́ rí ìyá ẹ̀ fín torí kò mọ̀ bó ṣe tó. Ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀yin tẹ́ sọ pé Málì lẹ ti wá, ibì kan ló ti wá, kinní kan, ó wá gbà yín lálejò. Ẹ̀yin yẹn tẹ́ ti bá pọ́n bàbá rẹ̀ lé, ọkàn á balẹ̀ wípé àwọn èèyàn mi náà gbà pé bàbá mi nìyẹn, wọ́n bá mi pọ́n lé. Ọkàn rẹ̀ gan á balẹ̀ láti sọ pé bóò ló jẹ́, ó ṣe wá jẹ́. Ṣùgbọ́n tẹ́rù bá ń bà á pé bí ẹ ṣe rúra, gbogbo Ọlọ́run ló dá gbogbo wa tá wà láyé, Ọlọ́run ló rò wá pọ̀. Bọ́lọ́run ṣe wá rò wá pọ̀ yẹn, tẹ́rù wá ń bà ẹni tó jó lórí yín, tí ó ń wò pé kíní yìí kí má dàbí olójú kòkòrò, èmi nìkan kọ́ ni mo ní. Àwọn ará Bàrùtí wà ń bí, àwọn ará Málì wà ń bí, àwọn ará kinní kan wà ń bí. Bóyá ìbẹ̀rù tiyín, ìfẹ́ tiyín, ọ̀wọ̀ tó ń fún yín pé ẹ ti jọ rò pọ̀ láàrin ibẹ̀ yẹn gan ló fi ń wò pé ẹ̀kẹ́ kúkú dá dúró. Ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ mọ pàtàkì kí àlàáfíà ó wà láàrin ìran, láàrin ilẹ̀. Gbókè ní ìsìn gbogbo yín tẹ́ ẹ sọ pé Málì lẹ ti wá, kinní kan lẹ ti wá. Ṣé tí wọ́n bá gbé fọ́ọ̀mù fún yín ní ìsìn, tí wọ́n bá ní tribe, ṣé ó kọ Málì sí ni? Tó wá fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan kan ní ìsìn, tí wọ́n bá ní kí ni ẹ̀yà rẹ nínú orílẹ̀ ayé yìí, ṣé bí Yorùbá ló kọ? Yorùbá, àwa wo wọ́n ń pè Yorùbá? Gbogbo wa tẹ́ wá kó pọ̀ tẹ́ ń pè ní Yorùbá nísìn, Ifẹ̀ láti wá. Irú nǹkan kan náà ni wá àti dọmọ ìyá nìyẹn. Tá bá sọ pé Ifẹ̀ lórí irun wa, ẹ̀yin ṣékélé tẹ́ wá rú wa láti Málì, láti ibikíbi, ẹ̀yin náà ti dọmọ Ifẹ̀ nìyẹn. Kò wá yẹ kẹ́ máa fẹ́ná sí bí ò ṣe ní sí ìrẹ́pọ̀. Tó bá dogun, tó bá dìjà, gbogbo wa gbogbo àwọn tó jọ wà ń bẹ̀ ní òjò jíyẹ. Ìrẹ́pọ̀ ni. Tí Aláàfin bá wẹ̀yìn tó bá rí pé gbogbo àwọn tó wà níbẹ̀ yẹn, àwọn náà wọ́n gbà fún bàbá rẹ̀, ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ ni. Ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀, ìbẹ̀rù bójó tiyín. Wọ́n sì sọ pé kí bàbá Lámídì Adéyẹmí gan tó dé, kò sí Aláàfin náà rí tó sọ pé ohun ò ní tẹríba fún Orísun. And like I said, this is more about Ife than more about. But again, if it is more about Ife, then whoever àwọn èèyàn máa pìtàn oríṣiríṣi ìtàn ni wọ́n máa ń pa. Àwọn tó wà nífẹ̀ ló máa yan ọba Ifẹ̀. Àwọn náà dilé mú, ẹ̀yin ti lọ. Ṣùgbọ́n ìtàn yẹn ò ṣe é yí padà pé bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ ti wá. Àwọn tó wà nílé nífẹ̀, àwọn náà máa yan ọba Ifẹ̀. Àpèrè Ifẹ̀, wọ́n ní Odùduwà ní ẹ wo gbogbo wa tá a dàgbà nílé la ní oríṣiríṣi ìtumọ̀, oríṣiríṣi ìtàn. Ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo ìtàn different factions of ìtàn ta ní kò important bíi pé àwọn tó wà nílé ló dẹ̀ ń ṣe lé, àwọn náà máa yan ọba Ifẹ̀. Kò sí ìtàn oríṣiríṣi tẹ́ lè sọ tí kálukú sọ, kò sí kankan nínú wa ń bẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n nínú òtítọ́ tá a rí dè mọ́lẹ̀, tá a rí dì mú, tí ó dájú ni pé wọ́n ti ṣiṣẹ́ ìwádìí tó pọ̀ lórí ẹ̀, ni pé Ifẹ̀ ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wà. Majority of us ti wà. Majority ló dẹ̀ carry votes. Majority ló carry votes. So ẹ̀yin Ìbàdàn ẹ ṣeun, ẹ̀yin Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ẹ ṣeun, gbogbo iṣẹ́ ribiribi ni appreciate. Ṣùgbọ́n sáà ni Ọ̀yọ́ náà ló sáà ni nǹkan kan ni kì í yí padà. Orísun kò ṣe é yí padà. So sábàdẹ̀ máa ní irú Ìbàdàn báyìí tó ń ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ yan ọba tó ń ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ yan nìbàdàn. His Excellency Senator, ẹ wo profile bàbá yẹn bó ṣe powerful tó, wọ́n dẹ̀ tún ti ní ọjọ́ lórí dáadáa. Èèyàn wò pé this is a great asset to us, the descendants of Ife. Yes. Títí délẹ̀ Yorùbá, yọ̀dọ̀yọ̀dọ̀ everywhere, dékìtì dòndò. This is a great asset pé bàbá yẹn tá bá wò tọ́jú orí nítọ́jú orí, wọ́n ju ọba tó wà lọ́yọ̀, wọ́n ju ọba tó wà nífẹ̀, àti ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ibi káàkiri ilẹ̀ tá à ń pè Yorùbá abilẹ̀ Káàárọ̀ Oòjíire nítọ́jú orí wọn. Wọ́n dẹ̀ tún ti ní ìrírí. Wọ́n ní ìrírí gan-an kéèyàn ti ṣe sẹ́nétọ̀, kéèyàn ṣe gọ́vnọ̀. Lẹ́yìn ẹni yẹn tún ti kúrò láyé ipò gọ́vnọ̀ yẹn, wọ́n ti wà ní traditional institution yẹn for decades. Torí kéèyàn tó joyè nìbàdàn, á kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ bí mọ́gàjì. A ti wá wà ní institutions yẹn, a ti máa ní roles ní ààfin for decades. Ẹ wo oyè ọdún yẹn, èèyàn tó bá jọba nìbàdàn, ó ní ọba Ìbàdàn, ọmọdé kì í ṣe wọ́n. Ẹlòmíì bá ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ jọba, á fẹ́ jayé ọmọdé. Ẹlòmíì ò ti ṣeré ọmọdé tán kúrò lára kó tó jọba. Kéèyàn tó jọba nìbàdàn, ó ti ṣeré ọmọdé tán kúrò lára. So irú ẹni yẹn is a great asset. Expectedly, a former senator, a former governor, an active role player in the traditional institution for decades, an elderly man. Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ kí wọ́n tó olóyè yẹn, torí oyè púpọ̀ ni. Ọlọ́run ló máa ń jẹ́ kéèyàn ó tó lóyè èèyàn. Oyè téèyàn gbé kárí, Ọlọ́run ló máa ń jẹ́ kéèyàn tó. Ọgbọ́n, ìmọ̀ àti òye tí wọ́n á fi lo gbogbo àárín yẹn, tí wọ́n á fi lè ṣiṣẹ́ towards unity láì ṣàbòsí. Ọlọ́run á fi fún bàbá náà. Ẹlòmíì máa ní, mo ti rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wá ní ìjà kọ́ ló yẹ kẹ́ máa jà, àtọba kìíní àtọba kejì. No. Wọ́n ti ẹ̀ jà gan. Èmi ò tiẹ̀ rí pé wọ́n ń jà. Bí kò ṣe pé the truth of the matter ni wípé tí wọ́n bá sọ pé ìjọba àpapọ̀ ń pín nǹkan fún àwọn orílẹ̀ káàkiri, ta ni wọ́n mọ̀ bí aṣáájú wa? A máa kọ́kọ́ mọ ẹnìkan bí aṣáájú. Aṣáájú yẹn wá sọ wípé ìwọ dìbí ìmú. Aṣáájú tí wọn kì í yàn lọ́lọ́run ti fi fẹ́ ṣe. Ìyókù ọ̀nà méjì ni lèèyàn tún lè fi dàṣáájú. Èèyàn lè ṣiṣẹ́ débẹ̀, wọ́n sì lè yàn sí, gbogbo wa lè pẹnu pọ̀, a lè fẹnu kò ká tún sọ pé báyìí oríṣiríṣi. Ṣùgbọ́n lẹ́yìn gbogbo irú aṣáájú tá a bá lè ní láyé, either politically, socially, diplomatically, whatever, the natural one yẹn náà ni bàbá tí tó bá rújú tán tí wọ́n tún padà kú lọ sọ́dọ̀, tó bá rújú tán tí wọ́n tún padà kú lọ sọ́dọ̀. Ibi tọ́rọ̀ kù sí gan-an nìyẹn. Ibi tọ́rọ̀ kù sí nìyẹn. Pé a gbà pé ẹ̀yin náà ti ṣe ribiribi, ẹ̀yin náà ti jà fitafita, ẹ̀yin náà ìtẹ̀ṣe òkèrè. Ṣùgbọ́n pé tó bá kò sí bí ò ṣe ní sí èèyàn kan, ẹni tí ò bá ti fẹ́ kẹ́nìkan kan ó wà níwájú òun kò ní rí ibi kankan dúró sí, torí kò sẹ́ni náà láyé lẹ́yìn ilẹ̀ àtúnkù ilẹ̀, lẹ́yìn òkè àtúnkù òkè, kò sẹ́ni náà láyé tẹ́nìkan kò ní. Ẹ wo ní irú gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì à ń lò nísìnyí, tálá sọ pé president, ọba àwòlá sọ pé president ò sí níwájú òun. Ẹ wá tún wo president yẹn náà, àwọn tó mọ international economics ni wọ́n mọ itú tí àwọn oríṣiríṣi organization, international organizations wọ̀nyẹn, àwọn diplomatic organizations wọ̀nyẹn, àwọn economic organizations wọ̀nyẹn, àwọn tó bá mọ international economics, macroeconomics, àwọn náà mọ itú tí wọ́n fi àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè pa, tó jẹ́ pé bá ṣe sọ pé president ló wà níwájú yẹn, tí president yẹn ò bá tún mọ bá ṣe achieve balance, wọ́n á dàgbò iṣẹ́ yẹn nù mọ́ lọ́wọ́, wọ́n á na orílẹ̀-èdè ẹ̀ ní pàpà. So báwo lèèyàn ṣe wá sọ pé òun ò fẹ́ kẹ́nìkan kan wà níwájú nígbà tí wọn ò tí ì yẹn síwájú, tó dẹ̀ sí níwájú naturally, kò sí níwájú naturally, òṣìṣẹ́ ogun débẹ̀, òṣìṣẹ́ débẹ̀, wọ́n sì gbé fún ọ, ó sì débẹ̀ nìyẹn. Ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà yẹn tún yí, èèyàn máa wá tò sí natural order. Nínú natural order tí èèyàn tó ti yàn, ojúṣe ńláńlá náà á tún máa wá sọ́dọ̀ èèyàn. Ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tó jẹ́ pé ẹni tó wà níwájú naturally, téèyàn ò bá cooperate pẹ̀lú ẹ̀, ojúṣe ńláńlá ò ní wá sọ́dọ̀ èèyàn. A tún ti sọ ọ̀rọ̀ tá a rí sọ́nbẹ̀. Ọlọ́run á kọ́ wa mọ̀ ṣe, yóò sì gba gbogbo wa ṣayé wa. A wà láyé lásìkò iná láti mú, ó sì ń ṣẹlẹ̀, gbogbo ẹ̀ ń wọ etí wa lọ́tùn lósì, a sì wà láyé nígbà tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Bó ṣe yé wa sí, àwa náà ó sọ tiwa. Ní bá bínú, ẹ má bínú o, mi ò bá yín jà o, a bá yín jà, a lè bára wa jà. Ọmọ ìyá kan náà ni wá, ká kọjọ gbàgbọ́ yé kó lè dà fún gbogbo wa, àti ìran táwa náà àtúnfilẹ̀ òun làwa ń ṣe o.